not doing anything, you.
Okay, so for the police brutality is a form of misconduct in which law enforcement officers use excessive force against civilians, often resulting in physical, psychological, or emotional harm. This can include with a wide range of action, such as physical violence, verbal abuse, wrongful arrest, and racial profiling. Some police officers believe that certain minorities are most likely to commit crimes and justify new brutality through racial stereotype and discrimination. Many of the police brutality cases we examine here involve law enforcement officers exhibiting excessive force against black individuals in particular, which is a serious problem and has prompted calls to reform within police department. Police brutality back to the late 1800 when police officers used force to bring workers in line and prevent insubordination, and was a common occurrence during the Industrial Revolution and the Civil Rights era. The lack of the real consequence for the police officer action perpetuated the problem even further. If an officer was found to be abusive towards an individual, he often faced a merely a negative review or other minimum job consequence. Even in many fatal police brutality cases, the officer was often ruled in favor of and in some cases allowed to keep his or her job. This is the historical context of police brutality, and it is a problem that continues to this day. The United States has a long and sordid history of police brutality spanning many decades, and there has been several noteworthy cases throughout the years. The amount of media attention that police brutality cases have received is critical to informing communities and the public about the problem. The media has been particularly focused on the cases where police officers mistreated the suspect based on race, bringing to the light the issue of the inequality and discrimination. Looking at the data, Black Americans have accounted for more than 26% of the police shooting victims. Despite only representing 30% of the US population, the fact that black people are disproportionately victims of police brutality emphasizes that inequality is a major problem in certain following communities. The statistic number of the people that have been shot to death by police brutality in the United States from 2017 until May of 2024. As you can see here, in 2023, the number of people that have been shot to death is quite higher than the others.
African-American man George Floyd, 46 years old, passed away in Minneapolis, Minnesota on 25 May 2020. Floyd passed away during an arrest after white police officer Derek Chauvin knelt on his neck for more than 9 minutes as Floyd was lying face down on the street with his handcuffs. Bystanders recorded Floyd's killing on camera, and when word got out, the video went viral and sparked demonstrations both domestically and abroad. Communities around the world, including those in Minneapolis, expressed a great deal of outrage and disgust after George Floyd's death about racial injustice and police brutality. The tragedy sparked increased demand for police accountability and change, as well as energized the Black Lives Matter movement. Regarding the action taken against Derek Chauvin, he was initially fired from the police force the day after Floyd's death. Chauvin was subsequently charged with second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. His trial began in March 2021, and on April 2021, he was found guilty on all charges. This verdict was seen as a pivotal moment in the ongoing struggle for justice and police accountability in cases involving the deaths of black individuals in police custody. Ayanna Jones was a 7-year-old girl who tragically died during a police raid in Detroit, Michigan on 16 May 2010. The incident occurred when police conducted a raid looking for murder suspect. During the raid, a flashbang grenade was thrown into the house, and a police officer's gun accidentally discharged, fatally striking Ayanna Jones in the head while she was sleeping on the couch. The officer involved in the shooting, Joseph Wickley, was indicted on charges of involuntary manslaughter and reckless discharge of a firearm causing death. However, the case went through multiple trials, with two mistrials occurring due to hung juries. Eventually, the charges against Wickley were dropped in 2015. The community was deeply angered and saddened by Ayana Jones' death, viewing it as a tragic consequence of police action that were perceived as reckless and disproportionate. Her death sparked protests and renewed discussion about police tactics, particularly regarding the use of force in raids involving children. Overall, the case of Ayana Jones remains a significant and tragic example in discussion surrounding police accountability and the impact of law enforcement action on communities, especially concerning innocent bystanders and children. The last victim is Tamer Rice, a 12-year-old African-American boy who was fatally shot by a Cleveland police officer in November 2014. He was playing with a toy gun in a park when officers responded to a 911 call. Within seconds of arriving, Officer Timothy Leoman shot Tamer. The incident sparked national outrage and protests questioning police use of force, especially against minorities and children. A grand jury declined to indict the officer in December 2015. The city of Cleveland settled a lawsuit with Tamer's family for $6 million in January 2017, but no wrongdoing was admitted. The case fueled calls for police reform and accountability nationwide.
Rashad is absent again today. All American Boys is a novel that portrays a fictional reflection of real-life police encounters with young black men that ended badly. The authors Jason Reynolds and Brandon Keeley openly discuss the pressing issues such as racism, white privilege, and stereotypes through the fictional characters in the novel, which are Rashad, who is black, and Quinn, who is white. In August 2014, when police officer Darren Wilson killed Michael Brown, another black unarmed teen, Brandon wanted to do more than talk about it. He wanted to write about it. He asked Jason to collaborate with him. Jason is black and Brandon is white. They wanted the book to reflect the difficult conversations necessary to overcome the chasms created by racism. However, the main theme of this novel is more than just about police brutality. It's a book about how two teen boys finding out who they are, what they believe, and how sometimes that conflicts with the lessons they have learned from their parents and their communities. It's about taking risks and moving from being a silent bystander or a passive ally to being an active agent of change. Quinn's perspective offers another layer of complexity to the narrative. As a white teenager struggling to come to terms with the reality of racism and police violence, Quinn's journey reflects the awakening of many privileged individuals who are shielded from such harsh realities. His internal conflict, torn between loyalty to his friend and the pressure from his family and peers, mirrors the societal divide and the reluctance of many to confront issues of racial injustice. The reality is clear and unequivocal. Too many unarmed young people of color have been brutalized or killed by police officers. Many of the individuals who perpetrate this violence, however, may not consciously recognize the injustice they perpetrate. Life, as in all American boys, is messy, and often people who think they have the best intentions act with devastating unconscious bias. If Officer Caruso considered himself a white nationalist or consciously brutalized Rashad because Rashad is black, the story would not thus explicate the problems of systemic racism, which exist in law enforcement, healthcare, education, and many other institutions. Caruso's unconscious bias mirrors the unconscious bias that fuels the systemic racism in America. One moment that stands out to me in the novel is when Quinn's talking about his decision to attend the protest rally. He says in the novel, because racism was alive and real, it was everywhere and all mixed up in everything. and the only people who said it wasn't, and the only people who said don't talk about it were white. Well, stop lying. That's what I wanted to tell those people. Stop lying, stop denying. That's why I was marching. Nothing was going to change unless we did something about it. We, white people. Police brutality can cause internal conflict among communities in America. The cases related to police brutality disproportionately affect minority communities, particularly Black and Latino populations. The cases of police brutality can create tensions between these groups and other racial or ethnic groups who may not experience the same level of scrutiny and violence, such as the white community. While police brutality can foster solidarity within affected communities, it can also create divisions if different groups perceive unequal treatment or lack of support from other communities or authorities. The gap between different races becomes bigger, and it leads to severe cases of discrimination and induces white supremacy. White supremacy is an ideology and belief that asserts the superiority of white people over people of other racial and ethnic backgrounds. This can be seen in areas such as criminal justice, education, housing, economic disparities, and employment.
The impact of police brutality on communities is profound. Communities place significant trust in law enforcement for public safety and national security. However, this trust is severely undermined when police unjustifiably kill individuals. In the United States, there is growing distrust in police as incidents of unwarranted killing and arrests, regardless of age, have heightened fear among citizens. It is argued that police should not harm individuals without a true investigation, especially when victims are children. Tragic cases like Tamariz, a 12-year-old shot while playing with a toy gun, and Ayana Jones, a 7-year-old shot while sleeping during a police raid, illustrate how police action can tragically harm defenseless children. This incident not only eroded domestic trust in law enforcement, but also tarnished the police's international reputation, potentially deterring visitors to the US due to safety concerns.
Other than that, police brutality also gives impacts on individuals. The first one is physical harm. Victims of police brutality often suffer from serious injuries or even death. This physical harm can have lasting effect on the victim's health and well-being. The second one is psychological trauma. The psychological impacts of police brutality can be profound and long-lasting. Victims may develop conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression, and chronic stress. This mental health issue can affect their daily life, relationship, and overall functioning. Not only adult, fear and traumatic extend to teenagers and students who may become afraid to go to school, distorting their education and social development. The last impact of police brutality is on society, which are legal and policy reform. In response to police brutality, government often need to change law and implement new policies to restore public trust. And the second one is economic cost. Police brutality has significant economic repercussions. Cities often need to borrow millions to pay for police misconduct lawsuits, which add to municipal debt and increases the cost to taxpayers. For example, an analysis of Chicago data revealed that taxpayers paid $280 million to resolve police misconduct cases from 2019 to 2023. This financial burden diverts funds from other essential public services and infrastructure projects. Now, I'll focus on how law and policy reform can provide a solution to this pressing issue. We will focus on 4 key areas, which are implementing strict regulation, reducing incidents of brutality, enhancing accountability and trust, and the economic benefit of this reform. The first one is implementing strict regulation. By establishing clear and ambiguous law governing police conduct, we can set a higher standard for behavior. This includes comprehensive guidelines on the use of force, mandatory de-escalation training, and protocol for handling situations involving vulnerable population. The second one is reducing incident of brutality. When clear standards are in place, officials are better equipped to make decisions that prioritize the safety and right of all individuals involved. Regular training and continuous education on this regulation help in fostering a culture of respect and professionalism within the police force. This proactive approach can prevent many instances of brutality before they occur, creating a safer environment for both officer and community. The third one is enhancing accountability and trust. By implementing body cameras, establish independent oversight bodies, and ensuring transparent investigation of misconduct, we can hold officers accountable for their actions. This transparency not only deter potential misconduct, but also build trust between law enforcement and the community. When people see that officers are held to high standard and that there are consequences for violating those standards, it strengthens the relationship and promote cooperation. And the last one is economic benefit. Reducing incident of police brutality can lead to fewer lawsuits and settlements, which save taxpayer money. Moreover, a community that trusts its law enforcement is likely to experience lower crime rates, leading to reduced costs associated with crime. Investment in training and oversight are cost effective in the long run as they prevent the costly consequences of brutality and misconduct. So, by implementing strict regulation, reducing incident, enhancing accountability and trust, and economic benefit, we can create a safer and more just society.
As a conclusion, addressing police brutality requires a comprehensive and multifaceted approach that encompasses both immediate and long term strategies to create a more just and equitable society. The pervasive issue of excessive force by law enforcement has far reaching implications for public trust, community cohesion, and the protection of civil liberties. To mitigate these impacts, it is crucial to implement comprehensive legal and policy reforms that prioritize accountability, transparency, and the protection of civil rights. This includes establishing transparent use of force policies that emphasize de escalation and making lethal force a last resort, ensuring that officers are better equipped to handle high stress situations without resorting to violence. Furthermore, creating national standards for police conduct and training is essential to ensure consistent and ethical practices across all jurisdictions. This involves comprehensive training programs that focus not only on law enforcement techniques but also on cultural competency, implicate bias, and mental health crisis intervention, equipping police officers with the necessary skills to interact with diverse communities respectfully and effectively. Empowering independent oversight bodies to investigate incidents of police misconduct is another critical component of these reforms. These bodies must be truly impartial and have the authority to conduct true investigations and recommend appropriate disciplinary actions. The mandatory use of body cameras, coupled with strict regulation on their activation and data handling, can provide an objective record of police interactions, enhancing transparency and accountability. Additionally, establishing civilian review boards with the power to review complaints and make binding recommendations on disciplinary actions can help bridge the gap between law enforcement and the communities they serve, fostering mutual trust and understanding. These boards should be representative of the communities they serve, ensuring that diverse perspectives are included in the oversight process. Moreover, addressing police brutality also involves rethinking the role of police in society. This includes exploring alternative models of police safety that involves community-based approach and non-police response to certain situations such as mental health crisis and low-level offenses. Investing in community resources such as mental health services, education, and housing can help addressing the root cause of crime and reduce the need for police intervention.
Engaging in meaningful dialogue with affected communities is also crucial as it allows for the development of solutions that are tailored to their specific needs and concerns. Another vital aspect of addressing police brutality is ensuring that there are robust mechanisms for holding officers accountable for their actions. This includes revising legal frameworks to make it easier to prosecute officers who are engaged in misconduct and eliminating policies that shield them from accountabilities, such as qualified immunity. Additionally, there should be a focus on creating a culture of accountability within police departments, where officers are encouraged to report misconduct and held to high ethical standards. Police education and public education and awareness campaigns can also play a significant role in addressing police brutality. By educating the public about their right and the proper conduct of law enforcement, we can empower individuals to hold officers accountable and advocate for necessary reforms. Media coverage and advocacy by civil society organizations can also help them to keep the issue in public eye and maintain pressure on policymakers to take actions. And ultimately, these comprehensive measures aim to create a policing system that upholds justice, integrity, and professionalism, ensuring the safety and dignity of all citizens. By addressing the deep seated issues of discrimination and violence that have long plagued minorities community, we can work toward rebuilding public trust, reducing internal conflict, and promoting a more equitable and just society. This involves a collective efforts from all levels of governments, law enforcement agency, civil society, and the public to create a system that truly serves and protects everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. Only through sustained commitment and collaboration can we achieve meaningful and lasting change in the fight against police brutality. And that's all from us. Thank you for watching.